Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk about war. Basically, my thoughts on war and what comes to mind when I think about it from an abstract point of view, not necessarily when I'm looking at a picture or listening to a report about what's happening in a war or watching History Channel. I'm talking about my reflections on war as a whole. When I'm doing something else, when I'm not necessarily looking at a picture or a video, but I am reflecting on war, which is what I do quite a bit actually. Um, One of the main things that I think about is everyone who dies in war, every soldier, warrior, what have you. And warrior is different from soldier in my opinion a lot of the time. A warrior has more choice, and a warrior is basing his actions more on the right thing to do, not what he's ordered. But regardless of that, one of the main things I think about is something very basic. How long did it take that person's mother and father to raise them to that point? When somebody goes to war, I mean, there's few instances, but there are instances of children being forced into war, having to fight, or something like that. But most of the soldiers who die are what most of the world considers as adults and male. And so these adult males, they've lived between the ages of, I don't know, 16 and 35, if I was just going to slap a number on it. But even if most soldiers are in a smaller age range than that, or even if it's a tiny bit bigger age range, that's not really what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about how long did it take their parents and society to raise them to the point that they're at? All these years and years of development as a person, as an individual, and having family members that love you most of the time, having friends who will miss you when you're gone, or will grieve for you with such emotion upon your death. Everyone who dies in war has somebody. And to think that all of this value in you as an individual is just snuffed out, it's just terrible to me. Um, One of the things my own mother said is, how long did it take their mothers to get them to that point? And it's all that dedication a lot of the time. I think most mothers have dedication and they raise their children in a way that they see as the best way, even if it's not a good way, they see as the best way. And to have their child's life snuffed out so easily, within a second or two, most of the time, from bullets, or even worse if they suffered or were tortured or anything like that. And those who are affected by war, who aren't even soldiers or warriors, those who get caught in the crossfire, those who get murdered, basically, as a result of some warlord's desire to expand his influence, or some nation's carelessness, dropping a bomb on a house they think a terrorist lives in, even while his family's there. And we all know the nation that does that most, even though it's not talked about. And the carelessness of war affects more than just soldiers, like I said, and affects more than just warriors or generals, like I just said. It has long-lasting side effects because of the grief, because of the pain that family members and friends feel. The long-lasting side effects are what perpetuate a desire for revenge, a desire to get back at those who have killed the ones nearest to us. And this isn't the right way to approach loss. We should be able to get past. We should be able to understand the losses that occur in our lives in proper context and be able to get past it. But that's not what usually happens, because a lot of time it makes somebody angry, sad, and they're fed up with the world as it is because of the loss. And it's incredibly sad to think of negative behaviors being perpetuated throughout the world because of petty battles and wars. Sometimes it's not an entire war, sometimes it's just a battle. But there's so much pettiness in it. Trying to establish a government that is backed by your own governmental establishment, and thus going to war against all the people who won't back one of your puppets. And of course, we all know which nation does that the most, though it's not necessarily the citizens' fault in that nation. And then we have basically trying to destroy those who are against your nation, who plan terroristic attacks on your nation, and trying to take them out regardless of who's around. These tactics, they don't cultivate a good relationship between nations, a good relationship between people, and they don't cultivate especially a good identity on the world stage for any nation who participates in these. And now there are some very evil people out there, very evil groups like ISIS, and there are some extremist Islamists in Africa as well. The name of the most prominent one right now doesn't come to mind, to be honest. There's the IRA, who still does terrorist things every now and then. There are neo-Nazis who actually do quite a few terroristic attacks that aren't talked about. The KKK does less just because they're usually not as organized. But neo-Nazis are all around the world, so that's why they're able to pull off more terroristic attacks. And it's always more dangerous when somebody dies or somebody's attacked based on an ideal, because that ideal can be seen as solid if that person achieves the goal. If that person makes a whole bunch of people afraid, then everyone else who believes like that person, who has the same ideas, who has the same desire to see their ideas prominent in the world, will be like, okay, I'm going to do that too, because look at the side effect. Look at what happened. Look what I made happen as a result of attacking innocent people. And killing innocent people is easy. That's what these people think. And then if they're ready to die, then they just put one in their head, or they're just killed by police or military, and their whole goal was accomplished. I think, as hard as it might be to catch terrorists alive, and not make them martyrs for the religious extremists that follow them. And there's extremists in every religion, even Hinduism, and I'm Hindu. And I'm sure there's plenty of them too. But to catch them, to put them in jail, confine them, try them, so that people who suffered as a result of that person's actions will have some ability to tell their pain to the attacker. And it would be hard to capture a terrorist because they're very suicidal. But confining somebody for life and allowing the justice system to work through, and allowing the families and fellow soldiers in war a lot of the time, or the friends of the person that was killed in a terrorist attack, confining them, allowing them to vent onto that person, tell them how much they hurt them, and there's a chance the person might understand and then realize, wow, what I did was terrible, and it's not a big chance, but that chance would exist. These are just some of my thoughts on war. War is terrible. It's hell, but people around the world make it much worse by seeking the revenge that they most desire. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, in other words, as somebody said. And if we can learn to accept the actions of a person and accept the losses in our lives, and move past it, and try to seek justice for ourselves, not necessarily revenge by killing that person, but trying to get them into a place where they are confined and justice is carried out. Even if we want them to die, when you kill a person that you want revenge on because they kill somebody in your family or one of your friends, from everything that I've seen, it doesn't make it better. My best friend, though we did everything together for years, this isn't the same kind of thing, but it's similar. Somebody didn't take him to the hospital in time. Somebody, when he overdosed, came back from the army, was about to go be sent out after he had completed basic training, so he came back for a while. He took some bad drugs and overdosed, but the problem was our friend that was with him didn't take him to the hospital in time, and he might have lived if he had. And I hated that person for a long time, and I thought about beating them up. I thought about killing them for a while. And this was years and years ago. But I realized that even if I did hurt him, if I even killed him, it wouldn't bring my friend back. It wouldn't help me progress in my life. It would probably destroy my life and other people's lives who loved me. And it wouldn't bring my friend back. So as long as I knew that, I gained some level of closure. But, and this is the sad thing, the justice system didn't really care about my friend for a number of reasons. But since the justice system didn't care about him, there wasn't a lot of justice. And a lot of time, that's what happens when drones try to take out terrorists when there's innocent civilians around. There is no judicial rights to a foreign nation or just a poor family that happens to live in a certain region that we can attack. The justice system will fail them. So not only did the person in their life die, the justice system couldn't bring them any peace of mind. So they had to find another way to move past this. And I don't know if they did, but there are instances in which the justice system doesn't help us. And we have to figure out how to deal with this pain. And revenge, it doesn't make anything better. It makes everything much worse every time. So these are kind of my ideas on war. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to shoot them down there. If you want to shoot up a like or even a dislike, just feel free to be active on this video. And thank you very much for watching. I'll be posting a lot of videos like this.